This is an interview with Billie Barnett, retiree of Elgin Community College. Billie served the college in a number of support staff positions throughout her nearly 24 years at ECC, culminating her career as the Distance Learning Operations Coordinator. In addition to her strong work ethic, she made many contributions to the college, including her committee work and her initiation of many special programs that have endured since her retirement. As important as her contributions to the college in these ways, she is also important to our history in that she was a student here who returned as an employee. This interview is being conducted on January 17th at Elgin Community College. The interviewer is Polly Nash and the videographer is Jack Weiss. Welcome, Billie.
Thank you, Polly. Welcome.
May we start out with just a little bit about yourself, where you were born?
Sure. I was born right here in Elgin, Illinois. Actually, my family has a lot of history here in this town. My mother was born here, Wanda Wheeler Austin, and her dad was born here, Eugene Wheeler. His mother came to Elgin back in 1862 as an ex-slave. She was a former slave.
Oh my goodness, in 1862.
1862 was when she came as a young child. They had escaped slavery, a group of them had escaped slavery and found their way to Elgin.
And so she came as a child?
She was a young child, yes.
And did she come by herself?
No, she was with
her?
a group. I'm not sure of what family. I don't have those details, but she was with a group, and I don't know what family was with her.
Is this the story that's told in the documentary 231?
Part of that story, yes. This is part of that story, yes.
And that's a wonderful documentary.
Yes, it is. They were known as contrabands.
Right.
The ones that came to Elgin.
So in 1862, you said, she came, then your early relatives were then born in this city.
Yes, my dad's. She came and married, and my grandfather, my grandfather had two. She had two boys with him, and let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, she died about 86, 87 years old.
Oh my goodness, she lived a long
She lived
life.
a long time. That was a long time for her, especially back in those days.
Right.
So she was about 86 or 87 when she died. And when she died, she was the last of the former slaves. She was the last one to go that came to Elgin.
So she was one of the youngest. But
yes, because she
lived so young, so old.
Right. She was a very young child when she came.
So you have a long history here in Elgin.
Yes, we do. She, do you know, are you familiar with the American War Mothers?
I have heard about the American War Mothers.
Okay, well, a chapter was named after her. Her name was Mary Ellen Newsom Wheeler.
Okay.
And a chapter of the American War Mothers was named after her, the Mary Wheeler chapter.
Oh, my goodness.
And it was named after her because, first of all, she was born into slavery, and then her husband served in the Civil War, and her son served in World War I. And her son, that was my mom's dad. So they named the chapter after her, and that was really quite an honor. I don't know if that chapter is still, as far as I know, it is still viable today. But my Aunt Mary Wheeler West was very active in the chapter. She was named after her grandma. She was very active in the chapter. She was president of the chapter for several years. So, yes, lots of history.
Right. And so you were born to a family that had a rich heritage here in Elgin.
Yes.
And so you have stayed in this area all this time?
I have. Yes, I have.
Oh, that's great. So tell me about the family that you were born into.
Okay, I have two other sisters and a brother. we were a very close-knit family. My mom has, three other sisters, and we all lived in close proximity to each other. So we just kind of grew up together.
With the big family.
Yes, yes.
Lots of aunts and
yes,
uncles.
and cousins.
Right.
Yes, we all grew up together. You probably heard the term poor and didn't know it. We probably were very poor, but we didn't know it. We had lots of love, and we had everything that we needed. So,
where did you go to school?
I went to school, well, we grew up on the east side of Elgin, so I attended all the east side schools. I went to school at Sheridan Elementary School, which is now Ronald O'Neill Elementary School. And then I went to Larson Junior High. It's now Larson Middle School. And then I went to Elgin High School and graduated from Elgin High School.
And when did you graduate?
In 65.
In 1965. So at that time, was Elgin High School on the 300 block of East Chicago Street? So that's now where the main offices
are.
But at that time, you were in school there at that building.
Yes.
And that was at the same time ECC was sharing some of the facilities with the high school.
Yes, yes, that's true.
Right. And so you graduated in 65, and then what did you do?
Well, I had planned to go to college. That was my plan. I wanted to be a social worker. And I had planned to go to college, but life happened. I ended up getting married.
Okay.
And the following year, our first daughter was born.
Oh, my goodness.
And then the next year, the next daughter was born. And then 2 years later, our son was born.
Oh, my. Oh.
So we had 3 children. And I was
a full house.
A full house. I was married for, we divorced after 7 or 8 years of marriage. We divorced. So I found myself then a single mom with 3 children.
With 3 children.
Yes, yes.
And at some point you decided to go to school?
Yes, that was, because I was trying to, I wanted a career that would help me raise my children the best that I could. And I saw that ECC had a court reporting program. They had a court reporting class, actually. And I thought, oh, this would be interesting because I was, a good typist. I was good in typing and shorthand. My mom insisted that I take typing and shorthand in high school. So I did that, and so
she wanted to do the practical skills.
That's right. But I'm thankful that she did because that's what has gotten me through. So I saw the court reporting, the court stenographer classes at Elgin Community College. And so I decided I would do that. I would enroll in those, and that's what I did. I bought my little machine, the little court stenographer machine, and what was his name? Dick Jansen? I think he was the instructor then. And I was a 2-year program. I took that for 2 years and did quite well in the program. But I went as far as I could go here at ECC. Then I needed to transfer over to Elgin Community College to finish the program. And that just wasn't possible for me to do because I was working, had the children, and I just couldn't get over it. I think it's in Des Plaines. I couldn't get over.
Yes, that's a long drive.
Yes, it would have been a long drive. So that kind of ended my dream of being a court reporter.
Okay. And so then what did you do?
Then, well, I worked. I've always worked in the corporate field. So I worked and decided then that I needed more education to try to further myself in the business world. So I thought I would come back to ECC and work on my degree in business. I wanted a degree in business. So I decided to come back to ECC.
So the first time you were here, you had smaller children. This was about mid-70s?
Yes.
75, I think, to 77. You were a single mom, going to school, taking care of your kids, working at the same time.
Yes.
And then because of circumstances of that particular program, you had to take a little break.
Right.
Went to work. more on a full-time basis, and then came back.
And then came back to school to
Right.
work on my associates.
So this was in the 70s and then early 80s.
Yes,
And ECC had moved to its current location
That's right.
on Spartan Drive.
that's right.
So it was a very different kind of situation than what you had experienced when you were in high school, when a lot of facilities were downtown and things were shared at that time.
Yes.
So what did you think about the campus? What was it like?
Well, I thought it was great. It was a big campus to me at that time. I was excited to be here as a student. Most of my classes were in the main building. I guess it was Building B. Is that? I can't remember, but most of them were there in the main building because it was business was a course of study.
Right, and I think that was in the B wing, or Building B.
So I enjoyed my time here as a student. The faculty, most of the faculty were good. I did run into a few of that. But, and the staff, ECC staff was always very friendly and helpful. And the students, I bonded with the students. In some classes we had study groups that we would meet after class, either on campus or off campus. So my time as a student here was great. And the campus was good.
This is a time, too, when a lot of women were returning to college. So you were not sort of alone as a returning mom to campus. What were some of your memories of being a student here?
Well, no, you're right. I wasn't alone, but it did seem like in a lot of my classes, because I was able to, I took some classes during the day, and during the day especially, you know, then I kind of,
a lot of younger students.
a lot of the younger students, yes. In the evening, then that was not the case. But some of the things that stand out in my mind, well, I guess I just loved learning. I had a humanities class. Walt Garrett was my instructor at that time, and in the humanities class we listened to all genres of music, and we talked about the philosophers, and to me that was very interesting. So classical music was, and I knew what classical music was, I just had never really listened to it, but in class we were kind of forced to sit there and listen to this classical music. But as time went on, I really developed a likeness for classical music. It was beautiful. The violins and piano, just the music was relaxing, and so I went to the library and got a couple of tapes and took them home and played the...
That was the time for cassette tapes, or was this 8-track?
It was probably cassette, I think. Took them home, and my kids, you know, were listening to Mom, what are you listening to? I said, just take it easy, just listen to the music, and maybe you'll, but they never did develop that likeness for it that I had, but I thought it was interesting. At least they were introduced to it.
Right.
And that's one thing I remember with Walt Garrett's class, that classical music, and developing a real love for that music.
And I think so often that's the key to really good teaching and learning is what is your student going to take from that.
That's right.
And enrich her life because of something we've done in our class.
That's right. That's right. And then I had a Principles of Management class.
Okay.
And that was with Paul Hegley.
Yes.
And from his class, you know, I just thought the business world and the management, and I had a personnel management class, I just thought all that was so interesting to me. But from his class, I remember the theory MBO, Management by Objectives. And that was, I believe, Peter Drucker's theory. And with that theory, the employer and the employee both sat down together, and they came up with goals and objectives that the employee could or should meet. But the thing I liked about it was that the employee had a say. It wasn't just the...
You were going to do this.
That's right. That's right. He had a say. And then the evaluation was unbiased because he was either judged on what he did accomplish or what he didn't accomplish. And it was... the goals were things that he had set himself. So I just love that theory, MBO, and I just couldn't understand why more administrators did not use that theory in their line of work, because it was, you know, just such a fair way to evaluate employees.
Right, exactly.
And then another person here was Judy Job.
Okay.
Now, I think she was the dean of students at that time when I was a student here. I can't remember the reason. I had a problem with, I don't know, with an instructor. I can't remember. But anyway, they said, go talk to the dean. So I went to talk to Judy Job. And from that talk, things got straightened out. But from that talk, we kind of formed somewhat of a relationship as far as student, and she was the dean at that time. So she'd see me in the hall and maybe how are things going, and I'd say things are going okay. So it came time for graduation. It took me 10 years to complete my associate's degree here. I started in 80 and I think I finished in 90. So it did take me 10 years just plugging along, but we got it done.
Right.
So graduation came and she said, Billie, are you going to march? And I said, no, I'm not going to march. I said, you know, to me this associate's, it's not like a high enough degree. It's just a little, I know.
You see my little frowny face.
But that's how I felt.
Exactly.
I said, when I get my bachelor's, you know, then I'll march. I said, but this is just like a little stepping stone. And she said, oh, no. She said, it's a great accomplishment. You have accomplished a lot. And she said, for your family, for your children, you need to march. Oh, and for yourself. She said, you need to march. And so I did. And I was so glad that she talked me into doing that.
10 years. It's a big accomplishment.
It's a big accomplishment, yes, yes. And so I did march, and my family was all there to see it.
And how old were your children at that time?
Oh, gosh, this was in 90. So,
Were they teenagers?
They were teenagers, yes. They were teenagers.
Proud of their mom.
Yes, yes. Now, what happened? Oh, that's what I was going to say. During the time, I started in 80 here, coming back, and then in 82 I remarried to a wonderful man. I'm still married to him today, but I remarried, and then in 84 I was pregnant. Jessica, my youngest, was born. In 84, Stacy, my oldest, was also graduating from high school.
So you had multiple roles. You were a wife, a mother, a student.
Yes.
How did you balance all of those?
Well, you know, when I look back on it, I wonder, how did I balance? You know, somehow, Polly, things just work out. You just do what needs to be done, and things work out.
One step in front of the other.
That's right. One step in front of the other. That's right.
Your oldest child had graduated from high school during the time that you were a student here your second time.
Yes.
Did you study with her when you were studying for your classes? Did the two of you study together? Sometimes I've heard that happens.
Yes, we had. Yes, I did study with my children, with all of them during the time. Yeah, I would go over their homework with them, and they would have questions, and I just remember the timetables. Oh, then that's when they were smaller, but they had a time with those timetables. But yes, I did study with them.
And you relearned all those timetables.
Yes, yes.
In 1989 or 1990, you received then, you earned an associate in science?
Associate in science, yes, with an emphasis in business, yes.
What did you do after you graduated?
Well, I was working part-time at a law firm, Muscarello, Crisanti, and Young. And I was working part-time and, completing my degree, my study here. And then after I graduated, I was working part-time, a full-time opening became available at the law firm. And so I worked full-time there as a legal secretary. And that's what I did until I came here.
Until you came here,
Mhm.
which is the operant phrase. How did that happen? What occurred to entice you back?
Well, when I was here, like I said, the environment here, I loved the environment. I loved being among the students. I just loved how it felt being here. It was warm and friendly, and I thought, I do want to work at ECC one day. So when at the law firm, I did not have any benefits. And I thought, well, I kept looking at ECC, looking at the openings, and there was an opening for a receptionist in the counseling center. And I tried. I said, I'm just going to apply for that and see what happens. So I applied for that opening. After I applied, I didn't hear anything, probably still the way it is today. It takes forever for anything, but maybe I shouldn't. Well, okay.
It is what it is.
Okay. So I didn't hear anything, and so I remembered Judy Job, and I said, I'm just going to call her, see if she remembers me, and see if there's anything she can do. So I gave her a phone call. Judy, this is Billie Barnett calling. I don't know if you remember me. And she said, yes, she remembered me. I said, well, I applied for a position in counseling, the receptionist. I said, and that was quite some time ago. I haven't heard anything. And she said, well, let me look into it. And I guess she did look into it because, I did receive a phone call, and I was scheduled for an interview. So I came in to interview, and that's another thing. When I came in to interview, I felt like I was being interviewed to become the President of the United States. I walk into this room, and I had never experienced anything like this before. I walked into the room, and there were about 5 or 6 people sitting around a table, and they started taking turns asking me questions, and I just felt like a nervous wreck. Like I said, I had never experienced it. But I guess I must have did okay because I did end up getting the job. So that was my first position here. That was in 1992.
So you were one of the first individuals then that students would meet, the receptionist
Yes,
in the counseling center.
that's
as an
right.
important role in terms of the face, the feelings about ECC.
That's right.
Are people who greet individuals when they come for the counseling center.
Right, that's true.
So you started out there.
I started out
and this
there.
was in 1992.
92. I do remember when I started out, I started at the very lowest level that position offered, and I did not like that. I was not happy with that at all because I had all this experience. I had been working as a secretary, but anyhow, I had a lot of experience, and I thought that some of that should have counted, but no, that doesn't count. We have to start you here, so that's fine. So it was my intent that I was going to try to do better and not just stay at that bottom. So a couple years later, a job came up in the registration office as a registration assistant, and that was a level or two higher than where I was, and so I tried for that position, and I did get that. So I became then...
So you're still in the student services area.
Yes.
You started out in the counseling area. Can we talk about who you worked with, who were in your department at that time?
I think Gail Saunders, I think her name was the director of counseling. Judy Mavros, Beth Santel, Ethel Russell-Agissimo, who else? Oh, Arturo, Marilyn Binda, and Nancy Hake was there. She was a secretary, I think, and Sharon Mead was also a secretary.
So you had lots of counselors and other support staff in that
Yes.
in that division, in that department. department.
Yes, yes.
And so then you moved over to the registration office.
Yes.
And you had a whole different group of individuals that
I worked with there.
A whole different skill set.
That's right.
Things that you needed to do in order to accomplish that job.
That's right.
And again, you were right there with students,
Mm-hmm.
weren't you?
As I look back, I think that was a great foundation for me here at ECC, because in counseling, you got to learn one aspect of the school and the services provided, then over in registration, another aspect, and it really was a great foundation for me. It gave me a lot of knowledge about the goings on as far as students are concerned with the campus.
And at each of those, then you can, if you were in registration office, you can say, and the counseling office,
Exactly.
you can get this.
Exactly. Yes.
That's
Yes.
great.
Mm-hmm.
So do you remember about how long you were in the registration office?
I probably a couple of years. I just don't remember dates, but probably a couple of years there.
And there came a time when you moved to another position?
I moved to another position, and that position was admin assistant to the Dean of Learning Resources. And that was Jack Weiss at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell you, Polly, then I felt like, okay, now this is the level I'm supposed to be at. That's how I felt, climbed up, but I finally got to where I thought I felt comfortable. This is where I should be with all the experience that I had.
Right.
And so I interviewed with Jack for that position. And I also had the interview with Edna Berry.
Who was the vice president?
Who was the
at that
vice
time?
president, yes. I interviewed with her as well. And when they called and told me that I had the position, I was just thrilled. I was so, so happy to get that new position.
Because that level, you have some student contact.
Mm-hmm.
So your experience working with and directly working with students was helpful.
Yes.
But that level, you're really working with a whole different level of individuals.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
And you were bringing those skills that you had from your other positions along with you.
Yes. Yes.
And the learning resources, the Dean of Learning Resources, what were the areas that you were working with?
The library, mostly the library. I believe I don't know if it was called distance learning at that time, but he also was the dean of telecourses and I'm just trying to think that I guess we had some semblance of online courses, and we also had interactive TV, but I'll wait till I get there. Yeah, so mostly the library.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the big responsibility, and also the telecourses.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was our first foray into distance
learning.
Right,
yes.
because the students could check out a telecourse and take it home.
That's right.
And learn in that respect.
That's
that
right.
way.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So what did you like about being the administrative assistant?
Well, one thing I can say, Jack was really great to work for and with. He did not micromanage. He would give, whatever assignment or whatever my duties were, and just let me do them on my own. He didn't look over my shoulder. I liked being with the librarians. They were all everyone. That was just a great time of employment that I had here, working with the librarians.
Who were some of the librarians that you recall working with?
Gretel Kramer was one. Linda McEwen was another.
Mm-hmm.
And then the staff there, and some of the staff that were there are still here today.
Okay.
Leslie and Carol. My memory's not that good, but I know Leslie was there, and she's still here today. But anyhow, the staff was all great, very friendly. We were just like a family, just a nice group of people to work with.
Right. Then you moved.
Okay, so then And during this time, and that's what I was trying to remember, during this time I had my associates from ECC. Then I also went to Judson College to get my bachelor's degree. They had an AIM program, which was an accelerated bachelor degree program. And it was a 16-month program. And so Judson, I graduated in 97. So I must have been, maybe I was still in registration when I started Judson, or maybe I was working with Jack as the admin assistant. I really can't remember. But anyhow, that was a very stressful program for me because it was accelerated. We met one night a week and one Saturday a month, and this is for 16 months. And you didn't just get 1 or 2 chapters a week. You got like 5 and 6 chapters a week because, you know, you went from, it was a cohort. You went from one to the other to the other. And I just remember my last night of class, driving away from that campus, the tears just flowed because I was just, you know, just a load had been taken off of me. It was very stressful for me.
Because all of that time, you were having to do a lot of all of that learning on your own.
Yes.
Because the time that you were in class was a shortened time, concentrated.
And then I had, you know, my husband, and I had my children, and I spent many a night up all night, you know, studying, trying to get the reading done because it was so much in this short period of time. It was awful, really, for me. It was awful, but we got through it.
You did.
We got through it, yes.
And Judson is a local college.
Yes.
It's now Judson University.
University.
Right.
Yes.
And so you were able to easily commute to take the classes.
That's right.
Here in the Elgin area.
That's right. And like I said, it was one night a week. I think we went for 4 hours, maybe from 6 to 10 or something like that. And then one Saturday a month. So then I got my bachelor's degree during that time. And then the opportunity came to, I think they were looking for, well, the opportunity came for me to continue my education and go to Roosevelt University, and that was for my master's. And that's still while I guess my kids think I was a student all their lives, golly. So anyhow, I graduated in 2001 with my master's degree, and that was about 2 years. So I must have started in 99, maybe in 99. And I know that I was working as an admin assistant then.
So you were working full-time,
yes,
family,
yes,
and going to
and
school, and working on a master's degree.
Yes, which was lots of reading and writing, yes.
Right. What was that master's degree in?
It was in human services.
I see.
And I chose human services because I did, you know, when I was younger, I wanted to be a social worker.
Right.
And so I still I just had this desire to help people, and I thought human services, it's a helping field, and I thought that would be a good degree for me to get into, and that's what I did.
So you were working as an administrative assistant, going to school, finishing your master's degree, continuing to raise your family.
Yes.
Distance learning was part of that division, but you started to take on a new role in distance learning.
Yes.
And what was that?
It was the, I guess, distance learning program developer, I believe it was. That was a new position. And I had just completed my master's. It was in 2001 that I graduated, so it must have been around that time that I got this new position. I remember I was, you know, terrified. I was afraid, and oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. And Jack, Billie, you can do it. You know, you don't see yourself as others see you, but I know that you're going to do well in this position. And he was just very supportive of me taking this position, and I'm just thankful for that. I'm thankful that he did, because I did okay in the position. So a distance learning program developer.
So this was a new position,
Mm-hmm.
and distance learning was starting to grow from more than telecourses.
Yes, it was.
What were your responsibilities?
At that time, we had ITV, interactive television, and we had ITV, we had telecourses, and we had online
So
classes.
you were starting up the online classes too.
We started up the online
Can
classes.
you tell us a little bit about the interactive television program?
Sure. The interactive television was, it was where the instructor was in one location and the course was broadcast to multiple locations, and it was in real time, and the students would look at a monitor and they could see the instructor could see them, they could interact, they could ask questions, the instructor could ask them questions, and so it was like being in the classroom, except you were looking at it through a monitor.
And that's why it was called interactive, because
Interactive.
you could interact with the instructor versus telecourses where it was
Exactly.
a little bit more passive.
Yes, it was. Yes, and telecourses you were on your own, and this was, you had your other classmates that were sitting in the classroom with you, and you could discuss things and ask questions, and I have to say that Jack at that time was a real proponent of distance learning, and he believed in it. He believed in technology. He wasn't afraid of technology, as so many are. And, he really pushed for the distance learning program. And I think that foundation is what has made it so successful today. So the interactive television was a component. And then, did you want to know more about interactive, or
What
is
about
that enough?
online? You were
Okay.
there at the very beginning of our entrance into online learning.
Yes. At that time, John Putz was I don't know what his title was, but he was like the head of the online classes. He built the system. The classes, we didn't have a course management system, so it was what he built that our classes ran through. After I was in that position, maybe 6 months or so, Christian came on board, and Christian was working part-time. But it was a very tedious process for us because everything had to be done manually.
Right. Everything was from scratch.
Everything was from scratch, yes. And it was...
So Christian was working with faculty, John was working with faculty, you were working with faculty trying to get a course up, and there were...
We really weren't doing that much with faculty. We were working more with the students at that time, trying to get the students enrolled into the online classes.
Got it.
And that's what made it so tedious because, it's not like it is today where they don't have to interact at all with a person. They can just go on and sign on and blah, blah, blah. But at that time, we had to assign the students' email. We had to individually send letters out to all the students. Christian had to, one by one, put all those students into their classes. So, opening day to us was not even, how we have the opening day exercise where we could come and all to, come together and listen to. That wasn't even a thought because we were so busy trying to get those students into their classes,
Exactly.
yes.
You came to the decision that you needed a system that was easier to work with.
Yes, and that was in 2004. So we had a committee, Distance Learning Advisory Committee. It was made up of faculty and administrators and the distance learning staff. And we looked at different course management systems and evaluated them and decided to use what we have now, D2L, Desire to Learn.
Desire to learn, and that's what you started out with, and you've been happy with it
Oh, yes, yes.
since that time.
Since then, yes.
And that's a good course management system that students and faculty can use with less hands-on.
Definitely less hands-on. And then at that time, then we were able to devote more time to faculty because we didn't have all that labor-intensive work that we had to do.
Mm-hmm.
So we were able to work more with faculty to help them with their classes, to try to encourage faculty to teach online because many, many faculty were totally against online teaching. They did not want any part of it. And we tried to encourage them, you know, to teach online, to just try it out, especially if there was a class, you know, we tried to get a complete degree online, an associate's degree, and so we might have needed, oh, I'll just say a business class. Mm-hmm. And so I would go to that business instructor and say, you know, we really need this class, you know, would you consider teaching online? And sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't.
So you took some real leadership then in doing outreach to faculty
Yes.
to encourage them
Yes.
to consider developing
An online class, yes. Mm-hmm.
The course management system is also used it as sort of a supplement to faculty members who are teaching face-to-face, where they'll have assignments on course management system, and students will work that way, so it's not just an online.
That's right. Some faculty do use it as a supplement. Mm-hmm. And it's also good, hybrid classes came into being.
And what is a hybrid course?
A hybrid class basically is a class that's taught half in the classroom and the other half online. So a student might spend, like if the class is a Monday, Wednesday class, the student might spend Monday in the classroom, and then they don't have to come back to campus Wednesday for that class. They can do it from home. And so it's half and half face-to-face and half online.
So you still have a lot of interaction face-to-face, but you also have some more
flexibility and independence.
Flexibility.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
During your career at ECC, you were not only involved in taking courses and studying for a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and you were increasing your level of contributions in terms of the work area to the college. You were also, outside of your work responsibilities, providing a lot of leadership to the college for extracurricular activities. Could you talk about some of those?
Okay, let's see. I was involved with the Black History Committee. I was a member of that. I was a member of Women's History Committee. The Black History Committee was, Black History Month is February, and so we would get together to try to come up with activities to enhance the knowledge, I guess, of Black history. And so that's what we did. And it was.
Can you recall one of the activities that you were involved in planning that you were especially proud of?
Black history? Let's see. There were quite a few. Of late, well, in the early days, we did have a gospel fest, and we had Wheaton College come. Their choir came, and then other area choirs from the neighborhood came, from the, from our area.
A gospel fest. What fun.
Yes, it was. And it turned out, it was quite successful. And we also had, different speakers come in, but we had a Dr. Gaddis. He is a professor at Benedictine University. He was awesome. He was wonderful. He came and he talked about the prison system and how the prison system is how the blacks are involved so much in the prison system and how they're
Disproportionately, aren't they?
yes, and how they're being used for labor, basically. And I thought that was interesting. So, yeah, we had a lot of different programs for Black History Month.
So a wide variety of programs.
Yes.
From musical to academic and intellectual and learning, all kinds of things for all of us.
For everyone, yes.
And what about your women's?
Yeah, we had women's history, and that too, that's the committee that I like the most, I think, working on Women's History Month committee. Women's History Month is in March, and so we would have a small group of us that, there was a big committee, Women's History Committee, then there was a subcommittee of the African American ladies that got together to do things for the African American community. So we had lunches and speakers come in, and some of the things that I remember from that are one year we had a clothing drive. The clothing drive was for an organization in Chicago called the Bottomless Closet, and that was an organization that provided office apparel to women who were going back into the workforce but did not have the clothes that they needed to do so. So we had a clothing drive for them, and it was very successful, and people bought a lot of things, and very, very nice things that they bought.
Because that's so often how you look, even for that interview, what you're wearing.
That's right.
Is so important, and that kind of effort is critical.
Yes, and that was a program that I am very proud of that we did, because it helped so many of the ladies. Another program that we did had to do with the Boys and Girls Club here in Elgin. We invited maybe 10 or 12 of the young girls to come, and they came to campus. We gave them a tour of the campus, and they were like in awe of Elgin Community College. They were at college, and they were in awe. Yes. And so then we went to the bowling alley. We went bowling, and after that we had lunch with them. So that was a great time, and something that I felt good about us doing, as far as Women's History Month.
I have a photograph here from the college's archives of one of your Women's History Months, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Okay. Now this is when we had Joyce Parker. She was the city manager for Elgin. She was new. She was Black. She was African American, and so we thought, well, this is a good opportunity. Let's bring her for our Women's History Luncheon, and we asked her if she would be the keynote, and she agreed, and so we had her there, come to the school. So this picture is a picture of Joyce Parker, and next to her is Gloria Smith, and then there's myself, and Billie Barnett, and then Patrina Jackson. She was an English faculty member, Sandra Anthony, and Joyce Fountain, Joey Campbell, and Sonia Gilliam. So that was our committee for Black History that year. And that was a very successful luncheon that we had. Joyce talked about her experiences of being a city manager. She relocated here from, was it Michigan? I can't remember where, but she relocated here. So she was new to the city, and it was good to have her here.
That's great. And here's another one. I wondered if you could talk about that.
Okay, now this picture, this was one of our earlier days. I can tell by looking at the picture how young we look. This was one of our earlier days of women's history. And yes, Ethel Russell Agissimo was kind of spearheading this luncheon that we had. And it is Black Women Are Beautiful Because. And the committee consisted at that time of Sandra Green, Eartha Washington. I believe Eartha was a student here at that time. and then Ethel Russell Agissimo, and Dr. Flores. He was the president of the college then. Gloria Smith, Sandra Anthony, myself, Billie Barnett, and Patrina Jackson. Let's see, I'm just trying to remember the details of the luncheon, but I believe, well, the focus of the luncheon was Black women are beautiful because.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Because of many reasons.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
And what is really nice when I listen to the names of those individuals is that you have a beautiful cross-section of women across the campus, from faculty members to support staff members to counselors.
That's right.
And that was a very important aspect of your committee.
That's right. Ethel was the counselor at that time, and I believe that was when I was still in the counseling office, so this was in my early days here at ECC. And then Patrina was the English faculty member, and then the other ladies and myself were support staff.
Great.
So
You were also involved in AAWCC.
American Association for Women in Community Colleges. I was a member of the AAWCC committee, but I really didn't, I didn't
Take any leadership?
any
role?
leadership,
Okay,
right.
But you were a member.
Just a member.
An active member.
Yes.
And the Women's History Month was often a part of the efforts of AAWCC, wasn't it? Or was it not?
No, it was
No, it
separate from the
wasn't.
AAWCC. Yeah, it stood alone. It was separate from them. And Women's History Month is in March, and so every March we would try to have some program.
What about the Magic Committee?
MAGIC, Multicultural and Global Initiative Committee. And that really is a wonderful committee here on campus. I believe that's still going on, too. They put on a lot of different presentations. Their emphasis is on showing them multiculturalism and just making aware of the different cultures and the different, things that are going on within each culture.
Right.
So,
Are there some members of that committee that you would like to particularly mention?
well, in the beginning of the committee, we had Gretel Kramer. She was a librarian. And Clark Hall Pike was on the committee, and he's a business faculty member. And who else? Joyce Fountain was on the committee. She's also a sociology faculty member. I cannot remember, Polly.
I think those are some of the names that I'm recalling to
Now,
important people in the very beginning.
in
of
the
that
very
committee
beginning of the
to
committee.
set the tone
Yes.
for the activities.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
You also taught.
Oh,
Can you tell us about that?
well, after I received my master's degree, and it was in human services, I had hoped that I would be able to teach in the human service program here at ECC, like full-time teach. But that didn't work out because I really didn't have a lot of experience in that field. I just really had the degree. But I was able to teach Introduction to Human Services, and that was a great experience for me. I loved teaching that class. The students were, they were there because they wanted to become a teacher or a social worker or do something in the field, in the helping field, and that could be many occupations. So it was a great experience for me teaching. I wanted the students to have empathy, to make sure that they had empathy, and most of them did. You have to have empathy going into a field like that. I wanted them to see the importance of caring about people and not being judgmental, because you cannot be judgmental, because people are going to have different views than you have, but you have to be accepting of the views that everyone has. You don't have to like them, but you have to be accepting of them. And So I love teaching the class.
That's wonderful. The when you think about your career here at the college, what would you say would be some of the major things that you accomplished?
Well, I guess I have to look at distance learning. I have to look at the selection of the course management system. That was, to me, a big accomplishment. Helping to get that program off the ground, that was a big accomplishment.
When you think about that course management system, and it was selected quite some time ago, and it is still here.
And it's
that was a big, important decision.
Yes.
A long-lasting decision.
Yes, and it has proven to to be a great system and to be a very beneficial system for us here at ECC. So.
You decided to retire.
Yes.
What brought you to that decision?
Well, actually what brought me to the decision was I was a support staff, a member of support staff, and we are unionized. And we had a contract. And under that contract, well, the contract just had great benefits. And so the contract was about to expire. And we were able at that time to say, okay, I want to retire under this contract, but we're going to just put it out, how many years, you could put it out as many years as you wanted. And I just chose 2016. I really didn't think about it because I was, pretty old when I retired from here, really. But, and I just randomly chose 2016. I retired after 24 years of service, and maybe if I had thought about it, I would have went one more year to get 25 years of service. But, I mean, it's okay. It all worked out just fine. But that's what made me, I wanted to retire under that contract because the benefits were so good. And that's what happened.
So what have you been doing during your retirement?
Well, Polly, what have I been doing? We have been doing a little traveling, not worldwide, just within the States. I had family in California, family in Atlanta, family in Omaha, so we've been going to those places. The biggest thing, we went to Jamaica this summer. My cousin got married, and a group of us, not got married, my cousin renewed his vows, he and his wife, and a group of us went over to Jamaica, and that was fun. I think the biggest thing that I've done this summer was we went to New York. I had never been to New York, but I'm an avid tennis fan, especially of Venus and Serena. And
you went to the Open?
Yes, went to the U.S. Open, yes. And it was so exciting to be there. And we just did it on the spur of the moment because the Open was getting ready to start. I think it was starting Monday. This was last year, and that was this year.
2018?
2018, yes, 2018. And it was starting on a Monday, and I was just looking at the schedule, and I saw that Monday, this was Saturday, before the start date, and I was looking at the schedule, and I said, Paul, Venus and Serena are both playing on Monday. They're playing, one in the morning, one in the evening. I said, this is a great time for us to go because we can see both of them. So anyhow, made some quick arrangements, and Sunday we were on the plane going to New York, but it was a great time.
How exciting.
It was very exciting. Wow. Yes, I hope to go again this year.
Clark Hallpike, who is the tennis coach here, is probably jealous.
Yes. Well, he's been to Wimbledon. He's been to a lot of the Open, so yeah.
So you're traveling a lot.
Traveling
and I know you're involved in your community.
Yes.
And active there.
Yes, a lot of with the church. I do a lot with our church.
And which which one is your church?
It's St. James AME Church. They're located at 1100 Summit Street in Elgin. So come on by if anyone would like to join us in worship.
Absolutely. As we're starting to wrap up, let's think about colleagues that you've worked with that you would like to particularly recall and reminisce about.
Okay, well, you know, I had great relationships with just about everyone here at ECC. One of the good things about working at ECC is that it feels like family. You know, I refer to colleagues as my ECC family, but the ones that I feel especially close to are the ones that I've worked with for many years, and that's the ones from my department. That would be Terrence and Christian and Tammy and Tim, Denise, and Mihu. We've worked together for many, many years, and I just could not ask for a better group of people to work with. Each of them were supportive of each other, and we care about each other. And I tell you, Polly, when you can come to work and love coming to work, love the environment you work with, and love the people that you work with, it's a good feeling.
You can't beat it.
You can't beat it. So I really feel I've been very, very blessed in that aspect of my work here at ECC and with the people that I've worked with. There is one person, though, that I have to mention, and that would be Jack Weiss.
Okay.
I worked with him, like I said, he was the Dean of Learning Resources and Distance Learning, and when I went to work for him, that was really the best decision that I could have made. Jack is such a kind person. He's a great leader. He listens to people. He's not, he does not micromanage. He was very encouraging, very inspirational. He was a man of great integrity. I mean, I could just go on and on talking about him, and if it wasn't for him, I don't know where my career would have ended up, because he pushed me and inspired me, you know, into distance learning. You can do this, Billie. And I'm just thankful that I had the opportunity to know him and to work with him. So.
And as we close, could you reflect on your time at ECC as a student, as an employee, your career, the distance learning program, ECC generally?
Well, I have to say that they were the best years of my life. The only thing that I really would have negative to say is that they don't take out Social Security. But you get, I mean, that's okay. But really, the best working days of my life were here at ECC. As a student, I think I said this before, the environment was very friendly. The faculty, most of the faculty were great. The staff was helpful. I just enjoyed my time here as a student, so much so that I did want to come back here to work. And my working career here was awesome. I mean, I just could not ask for a better place to work. It does feel like family. It did feel like family when I was working here, and I could not have asked for. I just thank the Lord, really, for placing me here at that time in my life, and for the people that He surrounded me with. Because,
if I can correct one little thing, you surrounded yourself with these wonderful people, and they were made that way because of their relationship with you.
Oh.
And we thank you so much for sharing your life with us today.
Well, thank you.